On the afternoon of May 3rd, 31-year-old Marcus Thornton sat at his desk inside the regional office of Midwest Financial Services in Indianapolis, Indiana, scrolling through his personal Facebook account during his lunch break. He had been married to 29-year-old Jessica Thornton for exactly 7 months. The wedding, held at a small chapel in Broad Ripple, had been modest but meaningful, attended by approximately 40 guests. Marcus, an insurance underwriter with a reputation for thoroughness and attention to detail, considered himself fortunate to have found someone who shared his values and seemed genuinely invested in building a future together. Their relationship had begun in early 20 through a dating app. Jessica had described herself as recently relocated to Indianapolis for work, with most of her family still living in smaller towns across northern Indiana. They moved quickly, progressing from casual dates to exclusive commitment within 3 months. By the end of that year, Marcus had proposed during a weekend trip to Brown County State Park. Jessica accepted enthusiastically, and they set a date for the following October. That afternoon, a single notification would dismantle everything he believed about his marriage. A mutual acquaintance had tagged Jessica in a photograph taken at a youth baseball game in Fort Wayne, Indiana, approximately 120 miles north of Indianapolis. In the image, Jessica stood beside a man Marcus had never seen before, her arm around 2 children, a boy approximately 9 years old and a girl who appeared to be 6. The caption read, "Great seeing the Hartley family at Logan's game today." The timestamp indicated the photo had been uploaded less than 2 hours earlier. Jessica had told him she was visiting her mother in Kokomo that weekend, a trip she made frequently and one that Marcus had learned not to question. Marcus Thornton did not confront his wife immediately. According to his later testimony, he spent the remainder of that workday attempting to rationalize the photograph. He considered the possibility of mistaken identity, a tagged error, or an old image uploaded without context. However, the timestamp on the post indicated it had been taken that same weekend, during a period when Jessica claimed to have been visiting her mother in Kokomo, Indiana. By the time Marcus arrived home to their rented townhouse on the east side of Indianapolis that evening, he had saved multiple screenshots and initiated preliminary searches on social media. Using the name visible in the photograph's caption, Marcus searched for Hartley family Fort Wayne and located a Facebook profile belonging to Trevor Hartley. The profile was not private. It displayed years of family photographs, birthday parties, holiday gatherings, school events, and vacations. In nearly every image from the past 5 years, Jessica appeared prominently. She was shown holding the young girl as an infant, standing beside Trevor at what appeared to be a wedding, and posing with both children in front of a Christmas tree. The most recent posts, uploaded within the past month, showed the family at a trampoline park and dining at a local restaurant. In several images, Jessica wore a wedding ring on her left hand, the same hand where she now wore the ring Marcus had placed there 7 months earlier. Marcus sat in his living room, with his laptop open, scrolling through years of documented family life that directly conflicted with everything Jessica had told him. She had claimed to have no children. She had described herself as single before meeting him, with only a few casual relationships in her past. She had never mentioned Fort Wayne except in passing as a city she occasionally visited for work. Jessica arrived home at approximately 6:45 p.m., carrying grocery bags and appearing relaxed. Marcus waited until she had unpacked the items before showing her the photograph on his phone. Her reaction, he later told investigators, was immediate and defensive. She claimed the photo was old, insisting that the person who posted it had made an error. When Marcus showed her additional images, including recent posts from Trevor Hartley's profile, Jessica's demeanor shifted. She became silent, then tearful, stating that the situation was complicated and that she needed time to explain. Marcus demanded answers immediately. Jessica refused, gathering her purse and keys before leaving the townhouse. She did not return that night. The man in the photograph was identified as 34-year-old Trevor Hartley, a warehouse logistics coordinator employed by a distribution company in Fort Wayne. Trevor had been married to Jessica since August 2016, nearly 5 years before her marriage to Marcus Thornton. According to marriage records later obtained by investigators, Jessica had never filed for divorce from Trevor, nor had she disclosed the existence of this marriage when completing her application for a marriage license in Marion County. The 2 children in the photograph were Trevor's from the marriage, 9-year-old Logan and 6-year-old Mia. Financial records, lease agreements, and school enrollment documents confirm that Jessica maintained a residence with Trevor and the children in a 3-bedroom ranch-style home on Coliseum Boulevard in Fort Wayne. She listed this address on tax filings, utility bills, and her vehicle registration. Simultaneously, she resided with Marcus in Indianapolis, where she was listed as a co-tenant on their lease agreement and had established a shared bank account used for household expenses. Investigators later determined that Jessica's ability to maintain 2 households hinged on her employment. She worked as a traveling sales representative for a pharmaceutical distribution company based in Carmel, Indiana. Her territory covered multiple states, and her schedule required frequent overnight trips. According to her employer, Jessica submitted detailed travel itineraries each week, documenting client meetings, hotel reservations, and mileage. What her employer did not know was that many of the overnight trips Jessica reported were fabricated. On numerous occasions, she claimed to be staying in hotels in cities like Chicago, Louisville, or Columbus, when in reality she was at one of her 2 homes. Trevor Hartley, unaware of the deception, had grown accustomed to Jessica's demanding work schedule. Friends and family members later told investigators that Jessica often explained her absences by referencing client demands, last-minute meetings, and the pressures of maintaining a competitive sales position. Trevor supported her career, managing childcare responsibilities and household tasks during her frequent trips. Meanwhile, Marcus Thornton experienced a similar pattern. Jessica frequently left Indianapolis for what she described as work-related travel, returning after 2 or 3 days with stories about difficult clients and exhausting presentations. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The logistical complexity of maintaining 2 marriages simultaneously required meticulous planning. Jessica used separate cell phones for each household, ensuring that calls and messages from Trevor never appeared on the device she carried in Indianapolis, and vice versa. She maintained distinct social media profiles, carefully managing privacy settings to prevent overlap. Financial records revealed that she contributed to expenses in both homes, though neither Marcus nor Trevor had complete visibility into her income or spending. She opened credit cards in her maiden name, Caldwell, and used them strategically to avoid creating a traceable financial link between the 2 households. In the days following Marcus Thornton's discovery, investigators from the Marion County Prosecutor's Office worked to reconstruct how Jessica had maintained 2 simultaneous marriages without detection. Analysis of employment records showed significant discrepancies. On multiple occasions, when Jessica reported staying in hotels for work-related purposes, credit card statements and GPS data indicated she was at the Fort Wayne residence with Trevor and the children. Conversely, when she claimed to be visiting family members in Kokomo or Anderson, she was documented at the Indianapolis townhouse with Marcus. Her position provided an ideal cover, offering built-in explanations for absences and a flexible schedule that allowed her to move between households without arousing immediate suspicion. Detectives also examined Jessica's communication patterns. Forensic analysis of her devices revealed that she used encrypted messaging applications to coordinate her schedule and avoid detection. Text messages recovered from her primary phone showed conversations with a close friend in which Jessica acknowledged the difficulty of maintaining the deception. In one exchange dated March 21, Jessica wrote, "It's exhausting keeping track of everything, but I can't lose either of them right now." When her friend expressed concern and suggested that Jessica end one of the relationships, Jessica responded, "I know I should, but I keep thinking I can make it work a little longer." These messages, later entered as evidence, demonstrated that Jessica was fully aware of the illegality and moral implications of her actions, but chose to continue regardless. Financial analysis provided additional insight into Jessica's motivations. Bank records showed that she was carrying significant personal debt, including multiple credit cards with balances exceeding $30,000. Her income from pharmaceutical sales, while steady, was insufficient to cover both her debt obligations and the expenses associated with maintaining 2 households. Investigators theorized that Jessica viewed the dual marriages as a financial strategy, allowing her to split living costs and access resources from 2 partners simultaneously. By maintaining both relationships, Jessica avoided the financial consequences of divorce, or the necessity of living independently while managing her debts. On May 11th, 21, 8 days after Marcus Thornton first viewed the photograph that exposed his wife's deception, he made the decision to contact Trevor Hartley directly. Using information obtained through public records and social media profiles, Marcus located Trevor's workplace phone number. The call occurred at approximately 2:30 p.m., while Trevor was completing inventory documentation inside the warehouse. According to Trevor's later account, Marcus introduced himself calmly and asked a single question. "Are you married to Jessica Hartley?" Trevor confirmed that he was, adding that they had been together for nearly a decade. Marcus then stated plainly, "I married her 7 months ago in Indianapolis." The line went silent for several seconds. Trevor later described the moment as disorienting, claiming he initially believed the call was a prank or a case of mistaken identity. However, as Marcus provided specific details about Jessica's appearance, mannerisms, employment, and vehicle, Trevor's confusion shifted to recognition. Marcus described the mole on Jessica's left shoulder, her habit of drinking coffee with excessive amounts of cream, and the silver Toyota Camry she drove. Every detail aligned with the woman Trevor had been married to for 5 years. Trevor asked Marcus to send proof. Within minutes, Marcus transmitted photographs from his wedding, images of Jessica at their Indianapolis townhouse, and a copy of their marriage license. The two men agreed to meet in person the following day at a neutral location, a public park situated approximately halfway between Indianapolis and Fort Wayne, on the shore. Afternoon of May 12th, Marcus and Trevor sat across from each other at a picnic table in the nearly empty park. Both men brought documentation, marriage licenses, photographs, bank statements, and lease agreements. For nearly 2 hours, they compared timelines, reconciling Jessica's whereabouts over the past several months. They discovered that on multiple occasions, Jessica had claimed to be in one location while actually residing in the other. Trevor described his growing sense of betrayal as he realized that the woman he trusted to raise his children had been living a fabricated existence. Marcus expressed similar feelings, emphasizing that he had entered the marriage with complete honesty and had been deceived from the beginning. Despite their anger and confusion, both men remained composed. They agreed that law enforcement needed to be contacted and that Jessica needed to be held accountable. Before parting, Trevor mentioned that Jessica had not been home in Fort Wayne for 3 days and was not answering his calls. Marcus confirmed that she had not returned to Indianapolis either. Her whereabouts were unknown. Both Marcus Thornton and Trevor Hartley filed separate reports with law enforcement within 24 hours of their meeting. The Marion County Prosecutor's Office and the Allen County Prosecutor's Office coordinated to determine jurisdiction and evaluate potential criminal charges. Investigators assigned to the case began by obtaining certified copies of both marriage licenses. The first, issued in Allen County on August 20th, 2016, listed Jessica Marie Caldwell and Trevor James Hartley as applicants. The second, issued in Marion County on October 9th, 20, listed Jessica Marie Caldwell and Marcus Lee Thornton. Neither document contained any indication of a prior existing marriage. Under Indiana law, knowingly entering into a bigamous marriage constitutes a level 6 felony, punishable by 6 months to 2.5 years in prison. Bank statements, tax returns, and credit applications revealed that Jessica had concealed assets and income from both husbands. On joint tax returns filed with Trevor, Jessica reported her full income from pharmaceutical sales. However, on financial documents shared with Marcus, she understated her earnings, claiming lower income to justify why she could not contribute more to household expenses. Additionally, Jessica had applied for credit cards using Marcus's address in Indianapolis while listing Trevor's Fort Wayne residence on other applications. Investigators also reviewed Jessica's employment records in detail. Her employer cooperated fully, providing access to submitted expense reports, travel logs, and sales data. Discrepancies were immediately evident. On at least 15 occasions over the past year, Jessica had claimed reimbursement for hotel stays that never occurred. Credit card records showed no corresponding charges, and hotel chains confirmed that no reservations had been made under her name on those dates. The company estimated that Jessica had fraudulently claimed approximately $8,000 in travel reimbursements. As the investigation progressed, detectives attempted to locate Jessica. Her cell phones were powered off, and she had not accessed her bank account since May 10th. A subpoena for her credit card activity revealed a charge at a budget motel in Bloomington, Indiana, on May 13th. Officers responded to the location, but found that Jessica had already checked out. Investigators issued a warrant for her arrest on charges of bigamy and fraud, and a statewide alert was circulated. Jessica Hartley, also known as Jessica Thornton, was formally arrested on June 2nd, 2021, at the Pharmaceutical Distribution Company's regional office in Carmel, Indiana. She had returned to the building to retrieve personal belongings from her former workspace, unaware that her termination had been coordinated with law enforcement. She was taken into custody without incident and transported to the Marion County Jail. She was charged with bigamy, a level 6 felony, as well as multiple counts of fraud related to false statements made on financial documents and loan applications. During her initial court appearance, Jessica entered a plea of not guilty. Prosecutors presented evidence that demonstrated prolonged and deliberate deception. Text message records recovered from Jessica's phone showed that she actively concealed each husband's existence from the other, using separate devices and maintaining distinct social media profiles. Additionally, prosecutors highlighted the fraudulent expense reports and credit applications as evidence of a broader pattern of deceit motivated by financial gain. If you've been following along, hit the like button and let me know in the comments what you think happened here. During pretrial hearings, both Marcus Thornton and Trevor Hartley provided victim impact statements. Marcus described the emotional trauma of discovering that his marriage was legally invalid and that the person he trusted had been lying to him from the beginning. Trevor spoke about the impact on his children, who had grown attached to Jessica as a mother figure and were now struggling to understand why she was no longer living with them. Jessica's defense team attempted to negotiate a plea agreement that would reduce the charges in exchange for cooperation and restitution. After several weeks of discussions, a deal was reached. Jessica agreed to plead guilty to 1 count of bigamy and 2 counts of fraud. In exchange, additional charges related to identity theft and false reporting were dropped. The plea agreement also required Jessica to pay restitution to both Marcus and Trevor for documented financial losses, as well as to her former employer for the fraudulent expense claims. Following the negotiated plea agreement, Jessica Hartley was sentenced to 18 months in the Indiana Women's Prison, followed by 2 years of supervised probation. She was also ordered to pay restitution totaling $47,000, divided among Marcus Thornton, Trevor Hartley, and her former employer. The marriage to Marcus was annulled by court order, legally erasing the union as though it had never occurred. Trevor filed for divorce, which was granted without contest in Allen County Circuit Court. Custody of Logan and Mia was awarded to Trevor, with supervised visitation rights granted to Jessica upon her release from incarceration. During the sentencing hearing, the presiding judge addressed Jessica directly, noting that her actions had caused significant harm to multiple individuals, including 2 young children who had come to view her as a parental figure. The judge emphasized that while the financial losses were substantial, the emotional damage inflicted on the victims was immeasurable. Jessica, visibly emotional, offered a brief apology, stating that she had made terrible decisions and deeply regretted the pain she had caused. Marcus Thornton relocated to a different part of Indianapolis shortly after the trial concluded. He declined all media requests and deleted his social media accounts. Through his attorney, he issued a brief statement indicating that he wished to move forward privately and focus on rebuilding his life. Friends close to Marcus reported that the experience had profoundly affected his ability to trust others and that he had sought counseling to process the betrayal. Trevor Hartley remained in Fort Wayne with his children. The divorce was finalized in late 2021, and Trevor was granted sole legal and physical custody. He worked closely with a family therapist to help Logan and Mia understand what had happened and to provide them with tools to cope with the disruption to their family structure. According to public records, Trevor has since remarried. Trevor has not spoken publicly about the case, though court records indicate that Jessica has had limited contact with Logan and Mia since her release from prison in late 2022. Jessica served the full 18 months of her sentence and was released in December 2022. She is currently on probation and living in a transitional housing facility in southern Indiana. Conditions of her probation include regular meetings with a probation officer, mandatory employment, and restrictions on her ability to enter into new romantic relationships without disclosure of her criminal history. The case of Jessica Hartley remains one of the more unusual bigamy prosecutions in recent Indiana legal history, notable not only for the duration of the deception, but for the methodical way in which it was maintained. Investigators emphasized that Jessica's ability to sustain 2 complete marriages hinged on a combination of occupational flexibility, geographic distance, and the trust of 2 men who had no reason to suspect they were being deceived. The emotional and financial toll on Marcus Thornton and Trevor Hartley was significant, with both men describing a lasting impact on their ability to trust future partners. For Logan and Mia, the consequences have been more difficult to quantify. Therapists involved in their care have noted that children of similar age often struggle to understand adult deception and may internalize feelings of abandonment or confusion about parental roles. Trevor has worked to provide stability and honesty, though the long-term psychological effects remain uncertain. The case also raised questions about the systems designed to prevent bigamy. Marriage license applications in Indiana require applicants to declare any prior marriages and provide proof of dissolution if applicable. However, enforcement relies largely on the honesty of the applicants, and there is no statewide database that automatically flags individuals attempting to marry while still legally wed to another person. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please like and subscribe for more cases like this. Let us know in the comments what you think about this case and where you're watching from today.